If you thought Roger was the pinnacle of the Golden Age, think again. Monkey D. Garp isn't just the nightmare of every pirate, he's the living terror that made Big Mom, Kaido, and even Whitebeard hesitate and run. From his island-shattering, galaxy impact punches to a presence that could challenge 3 future Yonko at once. Garp emerges not as a mere hero, but as a force of nature. He belongs to neither the Marines nor the pirates. He is the standard of power to which the entire world of One Piece must bow. But what makes Garp truly compelling isn't just his strength, it's his deeply conflicted morals. A man who protects the celestial dragons, raises the son of the Pirate King, and is trusted by the revolutionaries. Garp is the clearest proof in the world of One Piece that justice is never simple. And perhaps Oda is quietly shaping him into the most subtly written character in the entire series. Don't look away, because the truth about Garp will make you question who the real heroes are. Proof of Garp's power. No devil fruit, no flashy titles needed. The name Monkey D. Garp alone is enough to make the entire pirate world tremble. Oda has never hidden his favoritism for Garp, but it wasn't until the God Valley flashback that we truly understood what kind of monster he is. From his youth to his old age, he's always been a phenomenon, a character who's just built different, both physically and in spirit. We've seen Garp throw cannonballs like baseballs, sending entire battleships flying with a single toss. In his later years, he could still unleash the galaxy impact, a punch powerful enough to obliterate an entire island, a feat that many pirates who possess Conqueror's haki would struggle to replicate. At God Valley, Garp wasn't just a powerful fighter, he was the very symbol of absolute threat. In chapter 1160, the moment Garp appeared, both Roger and Rox immediately showed visible tension. These were 2 of the most infamous names of their time, yet they were wary of Garp. In the next chapter 1161, this dominance is shown even more clearly when Big Mom unleashes a combined attack from 2 of her homies, a move that would make anyone pause, and Garp casually dismisses it as weak. This wasn't just a simple display of power, it was a declaration that he stood on a level far above a Yonko. And it doesn't stop there. Kaido, the man so obsessed with battle that he called Odin one of his few worthy opponents, placed Garp on the same pedestal as Roger and Rox. For Kaido, praise is the ultimate acknowledgement, providing the clearest evidence of Garp's standing in the eyes of the strongest. And most telling of all, the legendary trio of Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido admitted in the flashback that they couldn't confidently face Garp, even if they teamed up. They chose to retreat not for strategic reasons, not because they were completely overwhelmed, but because they wanted no part in fighting a monster like Garp. In the world of One Piece, where the strong often blindly charge into battle for fame or pride, the fact that all 3 unanimously agreed to fall back was a silent proclamation. No one wanted to die while Garp was still standing there. When you place all this in the context of the Holy Knight's immortal warriors raised by the government who were chopped to pieces by pirates in chapter 1161, Garp's position is further solidified. The Holy Knights have regenerative abilities and are tough as nails, but seeing them defeated so easily proves they can't compare to true monsters like Garp. This leads to a natural conclusion. In the Golden Era, Garp was the strongest man in the world government's forces, second only to the supernatural and mysterious entity, Ayamisama. In short, their respect for Garp isn't because he's a Navy hero. They fear him, respect him, and avoid him because he is pure power, no devil fruit or cheap tricks needed. With a single punch, he could decide the fate of an entire era, and that's what makes him the most formidable force of the Golden Age of piracy. Garp's moral conflict. Garp's strength is undeniable, but what truly makes viewers ponder is something else entirely: his moral standing as a hero who serves a faction that protects evil. The events at God Valley, combined with new details revealed in the manga and anime, are making Garp's image both grander and more questionable. The question is, what did Garp know about the cruelty of the celestial dragons at God Valley? The massacres of civilians, women, and children, the treatment of entire races as commodities. Was he truly in the dark, or did he know everything and choose to stay silent? Though a Marine hero, Garp has never been blindly loyal. Yet, his compromise with the system creates a huge ethical contradiction. In Chapter 957, Sengoku states plainly that Garp hates talking about God Valley because he had to protect the celestial dragons there. Although Garp always claimed he wouldn't directly assist them, the reality is he let them slaughter, trade slaves, and oppress people as long as he didn't have to do it with his own hands. This is no longer turning a blind eye, it's passive complicity with tyranny. This conflict is pushed even further in the recent flashbacks of Chapter 1096. Garp is seen relaxing by a lake, casually chatting about the celestial dragon's presence at God Valley, even bragging about the good security, which included his own son, Dragon, on the security team. He knew about Figerland's hunt, he knew the event at God Valley involved racial elements and slavery, yet he only intervened when Roger appeared. This makes viewers wonder, does Garp truly care about justice, or does he only act when his own honor is on the line? The story gets even murkier when viewed from the perspective of the Egghead arc in the anime. Here, the audience realizes that the Vice Admirals are not as ignorant as we once thought. They see what the Five Elders do, witness the celestial dragon's manipulation, and accept it. Not only that, they actively participate in heinous acts, not because they are forced, but because they believe it is the order they must protect. Thus, the entire Marine system is not just manipulated by the celestial dragons, it actively legitimizes their evil. And Garp, while not entirely like the rest, is still a cog in that machine. The moral line he drew, "I won't help, but I won't stop it," only makes his image more tragic. He's not evil enough to be hated, but not brave enough to break away from the system. This is what makes Garp one of the most complex and thought-provoking characters in One Piece. Although he is trusted by people like Roger, Dragon, and Luffy, that trust doesn't erase his responsibility for the world's decay. And the big question remains, is Garp truly fighting for justice, or is he just a hero trapped by his own wrong choices? The strength and abilities of the Holy Knights. If Garp represents pure physical strength and an indomitable warrior spirit, the Holy Knights are a completely different story, a form of power distorted by supernatural abilities and systemic advantage. Their most defining feature is their near-absolute immortality. In one shocking scene, one of the Holy Knights is sliced in half but continues talking casually while waiting for his body to heal itself. This technical immortality turns them into tireless war machines that don't need superior tactics or overwhelming power. However, being immortal doesn't mean they're invincible. According to Scopper Gaban, one of Roger's veteran crewmates, Conqueror's Haki is the only key to overriding this bizarre healing factor. But even when hit with high-level Haki, the Holy Knights don't die instantly. Their healing process is merely delayed or slowed. This creates a clear imbalance in the power Mida Oda is building. The Holy Knights lack damage output but have an excessive survivability. This explains why their offensive power can't compare to legends like Garp, Rox, or Roger. They don't need to win with overwhelming attacks, they just need to endure. In a prolonged battle, their absurd healing gives them a clear advantage. Essentially, they are immortal tank bosses created by the world government to wear down opponents rather than crush them outright. However, because they rely on this hack power, the Holy Knights lack the spirit of true warriors. They don't have the aura of earth-shattering punches like the Galaxy Impact, they don't command the presence that makes even Yonko wary like Garp does. While Garp radiates natural power, the Holy Knights seem more like technically successful experiments that fail as symbols. In the end, the Holy Knights might live longer, but no one will remember them as monuments of strength. And in the world of One Piece, where one's will defines them, perhaps this very lack of a powerful will is why they will forever stand in the colossal shadow of characters like Garp. Garp's stance, relationships, and reputation. One of the most interesting things about Monkey D. Garp is the conflict between his rebellious ideology and his central position in the very system he despises. Despite wearing the title of Marine Hero, Garp has never hesitated to show his contempt for the top brass of the world government, the ones who truly pull the strings of this corrupt machine of power. In Chapter 1158, a conversation between Rox and another reveals that Garp has long held a dissatisfied view of the ruling class, showing his rejection of top-down authority. Garp doesn't worship power, he doesn't kneel to the celestial dragons, he even mocks them. The running gag of him making fun of bald people, from enemies to his own students, may seem like a joke, but it showcases his signature personality, unafraid of anyone and respectful of no authority. However, what's remarkable is that even though he doesn't legitimize their power, Garp is still deeply respected by many influential figures. From Sengoku, who fought alongside him in many battles, to Tsuru, one of the most veteran strategists in the Marines, both hold absolute respect for Garp. Kobe, the very symbol of a new, idealistic generation of Marines, looks to Garp as his guiding mentor. Smoker, a man always skeptical of the world's justice, chose to follow the path of independent justice that Garp represents. And most notably, Kuzan, even after leaving the Marines to join Blackbeard, is still spoken of as Garp's student, a man whose rebellious spirit was forged within the system by Garp himself. This shows that Garp is no mere soldier, he's a role model, imperfect but real. And most importantly, he dares to hold on to his personal beliefs within a deeply conflicted organization, Ace. He's son of the Pirate King Gol D. Roger. Garp was entrusted by Roger himself to raise the boy who bore no sin. And Garp kept his promise. He raised Ace as his own flesh and blood, defying the world's prejudice and the government's pressure. He taught him, disciplined him, even pushed him, all with one goal in mind, to live a life where he wouldn't be hunted down like his father. But then, at Marineford, when Ace was led to the execution stand, Garp was forced to choose between his duty as a father and his obligation as a guardian of justice. In that moment, Garp broke. If Sengoku hadn't held him back, he might have killed Akainu on the spot, not out of loyalty to a pirate, but because he had failed in his role as a father, as the man who raised him. That pain was profound enough to make him step down from the front lines after the war, retreating to the background to make way for a new generation in whom he placed his faith. All of this shows that Garp is not perfect, but it's this very imperfection that earns him the respect of pirates, Marines, and revolutionaries alike. He doesn't change the world with slogans, he changes it by living his contradictory yet steadfast life, paving the way for those who come after him to go even further. And that is why, in the divided world of One Piece, Garp remains a moral anchor for all sides. So, do you know why Garp joined forces with Roger to protect the Celestial Dragons, and why so many sides still trust him? If you want to find out, you can click the link I left in the comments below. And now, thanks for watching the whole video and joining me on this journey to analyze a character as complex as Garp. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. I always appreciate all the comments, feedback, and theories from the community, so leave your thoughts down below. Who knows, together we might discover even more new perspectives on the world of One Piece. See you next time, bye-bye.